Good morning. This is a recording for Thursday, May 9th. Today we will start discussing how we can use the elements of shame resilience to practice compassion in a culture of blame. Brené Brown writes, "We are a culture obsessed with finding fault and assigning blame. Holding ourselves or others accountable is a good thing, but blame and accountability are very different. I think the difference between accountability and blame is very similar to the relationship between guilt and shame. Like guilt, accountability is a productive thing. It is most often motivated by the desire to repair and renew. It is holding someone responsible for their actions and the consequences of their actions. On the other hand, we often use blame to discharge overwhelming feelings of fear and shame. This is painful, so who can I blame? Oh, I'll blame you. You are bad and this is your fault. Inherent in holding ourselves or others accountable for our behavior is expecting change or resolution. Like shame, though, blame shuts us down and is not an effective tool for change. If I experience shame because I lose my patience with my child and I blame myself for being a bad mother, I am more likely to get pulled even further into my shame. If, on the other hand, I lose my patience with my child, experience shame, then hold myself accountable for my behavior, I'm more likely to apologize to my child and find out how to move through the shame so I can be the parent I want to be. The same idea applies to blaming others. The culture of blame permeates our lives. We are constantly blaming and shaming ourselves and others. Earlier in the series, we talked about the concept of separating and insulating. Both of these are byproducts of a blaming culture. In the next few days, we will explore 4 more concepts related to blame: anger, invisibility, stereotypes and labeling, and finally exclusion. And we will also discuss how the 4 elements of shame resilience can be used to move from blame to compassion. Let's start this exploration today by looking at the relationship between shame and anger. The emotion that underlies our obsession with blaming and finding fault is anger. In our shame and blame culture, visible anger is everywhere. Political talk shows have become screaming matches. A short drive to the grocery store becomes an obstacle course of raging, finger-flipping drivers. Angry public outbursts directed at strangers, at customer service people, are becoming more and more commonplace. Anger can be motivated by many different experiences and feelings: shame, humiliation, stress, anxiety, fear, and grief are just a few of the most common triggers. The relationship between shame and anger is about using blame and anger to protect us from the pain caused by shame. Shame researchers June Tangney and Rhonda Deering explain that one strategy for protecting ourselves during a shaming experience is to turn the tables and shift blame outward. In their research, they found that when we blame others, we often experience self-righteous anger. Because anger is an emotion of potency and authority, being angry can help us regain a sense of control. Regaining control is important because shame leaves us feeling worthless, paralyzed, and ineffective. But turning to anger and rage as a solution for shame only increases our sense of feeling flawed and unworthy of connection. Anger is not a quote-unquote bad emotion. In fact, feeling anger and appropriately expressing anger are vital to relationship building. Lashing out at others when we're in shame is not about feeling anger though. When we're doing this, we feel shame and mask it with anger. Furthermore, shame-motivated anger and blame are rarely expressed in a constructive way. Shame floods us with emotion and pain, and the shame-blame-anger instinct is to put it all over somebody else. If one of our primary shame screens is anger and blame, it is essential that we understand and acknowledge this coping strategy. And then we need to find out how to calm down and stay mindful. An effective strategy here could be staying quiet, taking deep breaths to help us get back on our emotional feet, so to speak, when we feel shame. Sometimes it's also useful to just walk away from the situation, like a timeout to sort our feelings. Of course, this takes a lot of practice, and it also takes the courage to go back and make amends when our anger blame response gets the best of us. So today, let's explore the different triggers behind anger for you. As always, take a comfortable position and take a few moments to settle. Settle into your body, into your heart, your mind. Settle into this moment, right here, right now. As usual, let your breath be soft, natural. See if you can get a sense of spaciousness in your breathing, a sense of freedom, allowing all the experiences of the present moment to flow through you as energy that they are, without struggle. Now bring to mind something that makes you feel angry. For the purposes of this practice, choose something mild, because we can't really go deep into exploration of your anger in the framework of our mindful mornings, and we don't really want to start any downward spiral for you now. So as you bring to mind the situation that makes you angry, start noticing what happens in your body. See if you can stay with your direct experiences, however uncomfortable they may be, even if just for a few moments at a time. Remember, you are just being a scientist collecting the data that flows through your body and mind. There is nothing wrong with what you are feeling and thinking. So simply notice, what are your physical sensations now? What happens to your breath? What happens to your heart rate? Where in your body does your anger live? If you could express your anger with a pose or a movement, what would it be? And don't just think about it. Actually do it. Take the spot, pose, or do this movement. What are you thinking right now? Are you blaming somebody or something for being in the way of your desired outcome? Do you want to express your anger by yelling, pushing, throwing, punching? Or do you tend to try to convince yourself that you are not really angry because you think anger is a bad thing? And as always, there is no wrong answer. Just notice what your reactions are. And now ask yourself, what is behind my anger? Notice what happens as this question percolates through your body. Let the answer just bubble up to the surface. Maybe you find that your anger is a friend for an emotion that makes you feel much more vulnerable. It may be a pain of betrayal. Or is it grief for a lost love? Is it disappointment with yourself? Is it shame? Is it something else that is hard to pinpoint that feels painful? What is behind my anger? Let yourself simmer in this question for a few more moments as you bravely connect with your direct experiences. And whatever you find out is okay. Remember, the more you understand yourself, the more easeful your life can become as you release into this expansiveness that is your authentic self. The expansiveness that can hold everything, including anger and shame and grief and whatever it is you uncovered in this process. Now place your hands on your heart and send the energy of loving kindness to yourself. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well in body and mind. May I feel loved, cared for, at ease. May I know that I am enough. May I remember that I am never alone. May I touch deep, natural peace. And as you gently let go of your practice, as always, scan your body. Notice what's going on for you right now, physically, emotionally, mentally. How are you really? And as you go through your day today, I invite you to notice what makes you angry. Anger is like an indicator light on our car that tells us to pull over and check things out. So do that, pull over and check things out. How do I feel in my body right now? What's really behind my anger? How can I use insights that anger provides for me as a catalyst for my own transformation and the transformation of the world? Enjoy your discoveries, and as always, if you're inspired to share, you're welcome to do it. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a gorgeous day, and I will see you tomorrow.